Good morning, everyone. I was going to start off my speech with the song that you guys all hear, I'd Rather Save Myself, the Mutual Embarrassment. You know the commercial that you guys always see? It comes on like every time there's a commercial. It's the one with the puppies and the cats, and it makes you want to cry. The one that starts out, like through the arms of the angels, far away from here, And it's got, the actress, I think her name is like Sarah McLachlan or something like that, and she just makes it sound so sad. And really what I wanted to talk to you guys about this morning was animal rights groups and why I think they actually do more harm to animals than actual good for them. I'm going to support, what I'm saying here with a few different things. I'm going to talk to you guys a little bit about PETA, what I've researched, the Humane Society, and the Aspca. So, my first supporting claim to this is that the organization PETA, or the People for the Ethical Treatment of Animals, they're not a no-kill organization. So that means they do euthanize animals, and from what I've read and researched, they euthanize a lot of them. From the Atlantic, PETA, from the Atlantic.org, they're an organization that's against PETA. They did an article, and it says that PETA kills more of its animals in its shelter than they do actually get adopted. And the statistic behind that is that in one shelter there were 760 dogs, and PETA euthanized 713. The big statistic behind that's over 90%. To be approximate, that's about 93%. Out of those 760, 19 were arranged to be adopted, and then another 36 were sent out to other shelters that were not necessarily a no-kill shelter. So we don't know what happened to the other 36. Another supporting point to this is that PETA's adoption rates are extremely low. So any shelter that is an adoption shelter that's are affiliated with PETA, their adoption rates are pretty low, I think mainly because they're euthanizing 90% of their animals instead of saving them to be adopted by actual people for pets. 2011, 2.5% of dogs were adopted, about 0.4% of cats were adopted. So, two numbers there that are way down low. And I don't know if anyone else knew this, but PETA is actually against the ownership of pets. They think domesticated animals is something wrong with society today, and they're trying to do all they can to change that, but yet they're still having animals up for adoption, which kind of contradicts itself, I think, in a pretty big way. And, I do appreciate what PETA does in some senses, like when there's like a natural disaster or, a heat wave. PETA's normally the number one organization that's out trying to help other animals or bring in animals. One thing that I don't agree with is that when they do this, they bring in all these animals, but about 84% of these animals within 24 hours are euthanized. So, and all this is from the Atlantic. And if anyone's a pit bull fan, that's freaking out a little bit. If anyone's a pit bull, lover or has a pit bull, PETA just joined the coalition to be against pit bulls. So they're anti-pit bull. They do not like them. They want to do a government-wide ban on pit bulls. And I did a little bit of extra research on the actual term of a pit bull, and pit bulls are not just one breed of dog. It actually applies to multiple breeds, and some experts can't even tell if a dog is actually a pit bull, or if it's a mix of a pit bull, or if it's something else. And many pit bulls are actually loving, caring family animals with no history of biting anyone. And we all have heard the stories, it was a pit bull that bit me, or it was a pit bull that bit this person, but sometimes you don't even know. And the media kind of portrays that in a sense as, you know, pit bulls are the real enemy. They're not. I mean, I have friends with pit bulls. I know a lot of people with pit bulls, and I've never had one bite me, unless it's a puppy, but it's just trying to play. And they're really, really awesome dogs. That was from the Libertarian Republic. And, you know, I also believe that an animal's behavior is based off of how the owner treats it. So if you have a pit bull and you treat it bad, you try to beat it up or fight it, or you just straight up neglect it, the animal's going to be mean. But if you love it, you care for it, you take it for walks, you feed it, and you do all the right things, I believe that the animal is going to show that companionship back, not just to you, but to other people around it. Next, I'm going to talk about the Humane Society. I feel like the Humane Society kind of hardly cares about animals, and they're more about building a corporation and a very big company. Why I believe this is, or why I think this is because the Humane Society gives about 1% of its actual income to pet shelters. And like I said, we always see these commercials about how you can if you just donate $19 a month, and it will help care for all the animals inside the commercial and many other animals like it. So with that, that $19 a month, maybe about $1 reaches those animals or those pet shelters that are caring for those animals. That's from activistfacts.org. And finally, I'm going to talk to you guys about the Aspca, the one with those sad, lonely commercials that make you want to cry. My final little story about this is going to be about Oreo the Pit Bull, and kind of what I feel like the truth about the Aspca and other animal rights organizations do. Oreo the Pit Bull was a 1-year-old dog. She was abused by her owner in Brooklyn, New York. She was thrown off of a 6th-floor apartment building, and she suffered from 2 broken legs and a fractured rib. And the Aspca came in, they rescued her. She made a full recovery. She made a great friendship with the CEO and many of the employees with the Aspca, and she was labeled as a miracle dog for the company. She was in a bunch of commercials. She was used basically as like the poster child for the Aspca, and the Aspca made millions off of this dog. And once the Aspca had made all that money, the CEO of the Aspca said that one day Oreo turned on him and became aggressive. And he had her euthanized because she became aggressive in whatever stance, but he had no reason as to why she became aggressive, because they made her have a full recovery. There are videos and pictures of employees playing with this dog, and a lot of people love the dog. So I have no idea why they made the decision to euthanize her, because she became aggressive. And there were other shelters that offered to take her in after this statement was made. So, conclusion, I've kind of told you guys about some of the real paths that some of the animal rights organizations take. They actually take on animal euthanizations, actual donations that go towards pet shelters and other, efforts to help, and some of their fundraising techniques used. Thank you very much. 10 minutes is a long time, man.
So Travis, what did you think?
I like this topic. Talks about how animal services, the way they portray things, and then the reality of them. The opening part was pretty funny. At first I wasn't quite sure where he was going, but then once he said the song, I knew what he was talking about. Your movement, you kind of like jump back and forth, but you know, it's not the worst thing. I would say your worst thing is saying You'd sound so much more confident if you just, because your voice carries, people are hearing you, you're making eye contact. Take out your flaws there. You had interesting facts and you had good support. Your statistics you said where you got them from, and you had good examples of your friend's pit bull, so you had a good relation with that. And then the Humane Society, it was short, but you had a decent point. And then the story of the Aspca with Oreo was a good story, but I don't think you had like concrete details on why Oreo shouldn't have been euthanized. But I guess I could look that up. But you went in order from PETA, Humane Society, the Aspca, and then your conclusion, which I thought was good.
All right. Well, I think you picked out a couple of the things that I was going to mention also. I like the introduction. I appreciate the organization that you set up. It's pretty clear how you're going to go at this. You're just basically going to try and undermine the credibility of these three institutions or organizations. I think you do a good job on the first part on PETA, their inconsistency, their policy about killing animals that they can't place, their unwillingness to really place animals. I thought that was interesting. There's probably more information on this. One of the things that you mentioned was that they really actually believe that pet ownership is problematic and that there's something wrong with that. I think you should be even quoting from their site and indicate some of those problems. Gesundheit. But you spent a huge amount of time on that, and I thought that was a good start. And then you got sidetracked on the pit bull issue, which I'm not exactly sure really fits in with your criticism of the organizations and institutions. It could be its own separate speech, probably, and be perfectly fine. It just seems to be sitting there separate from the things that you were talking about. The Humane Society criticism is about their fundraising primarily and how much actually gets devoted to that. You've got one source on that. I think I'd look to make sure that you've got a diversity of information. It was very brief. And then the same thing with the Humane Society criticism. There's not a criticism of the money, but there's a criticism of one incident with one particular animal, and that seems to me to be a little problematic. I know that it draws attention because it is an animal that they featured in their ads and that people identified with. Maybe that's where your pit bull thing should come in. Maybe they fell into the notion that the pit bulls are stereotypically aggressive, and they just the CEO pulled the trigger too quickly. I guess pulled the trigger is the wrong way of saying it in that situation or circumstance. Presentation issues. You've got nervous feet. You kind of need to settle down a little bit. You're doing some of the movements are good, but sometimes it just seems like you're moving because you're anxious.
Yeah.
When you step forward to emphasize a point, that's great. But then you kind of step sideways and backwards and around, and it's not really connected to what you're talking about. And I think that's a little bit problematic. The ums didn't bother me as much. The eye contact, when you look at us, you're doing a really good job, and you're usually doing that. But there are some times when you kind of internalize and you're blanking out trying to think of the next thing to do. And that's something that I think would probably disappear with more rehearsal and more practice. That's why you have to do that extra effort there. All right, thank you for starting us off.